It's time now for County-Wide, a presentation of Yavapai Broadcasting News. You'll hear about the interesting issues and happenings that affect all our lives. Here's today's County-Wide.
Well, good day and welcome to the program. I'm Brad Miller. It is County-Wide. We're happy to welcome into the studio Yavapai County Supervisor Nikki is here, and good day to you.
Hello, nice to be here.
Thanks for making time for us in your busy schedule. And you're wearing several hats today because we're going to talk about the partnership with Yavapai County, NACOG, and a number of partners really are at play when we talk about the 2025 Verde Valley Master Transportation Plan. We're going to call it the plan for the rest of the show, the VVMTP. And when I say you're wearing a number of hats, you represent a few agencies, particularly with transportation issues at the forefront.
Yeah, so our Board of Supervisors in January and actually just recently, we make appointments to sort of represent the board in various capacities. So the board affirmed me as the NACOG representative, which is the Northern Arizona Council of Governments. Right. And then that's part of NACOG's work is to cover transportation issues. Another appointment is the Verde Valley Transportation Planning Organization, and the board appointed me to chair that. Supervisor D. Jenkins from District 2 is also present on that board. And so that both of those entities engage all of the jurisdictional partners. So but I would say so NACOG is leading the transportation plan update, but the Verde Valley Transportation Planning Organization, or VVTPO, I'm as the chair really facilitating some in-depth conversations so that we just have time to candidly talk together. We actually had a meeting this morning. And, how that meeting went was we had general updates, ADOT's in the room, Yavapai County's in the room, right. And all of the other partners. And then we set aside 30 minutes for each community to do a community spotlight. So today's communities were Cornville and Cottonwood, got to get into the weeds a little bit. Okay. And all of those conversations are going to filter into how the plan shapes up.
Okay. Well, it makes sense. And this is going to be something that is ever evolving, ever moving, ever changing, with population more or less constantly on the rise. And this one's Verde Valley specifically. We're talking the whole county. There are other entities, I always say, on the other side of the hill, but on the west side of Mingus Mountain that'll be doing similar kind of projects and programs. This one's focusing on Verde Valley, just as the name implies.
Yeah, and actually includes a little bit of Coconino County to comprehensively look at Sedona too.
Right, okay. Now, when we talk about this, are we talking about, there was just a major and wonderful, in my opinion, improvement all the way from where I live in Clarkdale all the way into Cottonwood through Old Town, which is very, very busy these days. And I thought that went very well. We're not really talking about repair so much as we're talking about traffic movements and different ideas on a bigger kind of canvas.
Yeah, jurisdictions can usually identify which streets need repairing or new pavement or things like that. These conversations are geared I think some of the outcomes in them are to really identify regional projects that could facilitate better, transportation experience, and also projects that are going to need a lot of funding. Yeah. So part of the outcome and the timeline here is that we're having all of these conversations. Each community is going to get a time to have their moment and talk about their dynamics in 2025. And then by May, June of 2026, we should have some priorities identified. Okay. And those priorities are going to, get some initial engineering or some concept development, or even, 10 to 15% designed. And what you can do once it's designed or once its preliminary engineering is there is that you can go shop around for funding.
Okay.
Or if you need a bigger, if you need more money for design work, you have it. It's a really excellent way to show, for grant funding or for federal government funding, or even for the legislature, if you're making an ask financially, right, that you're not like a lone wolf, that this is a vetted priority that's going to help not just you and your neighborhood, but really it's a regional priority.
You need to let them wet their beak a little bit on what they're seeing. So it's like, hey, this is viable, this is logical, here's why. Has anything kind of floated to the top already in this process that we think, oh boy, everybody agrees this needs done?
I would say not yet. We're still early days.
Trying to get you to tip your hat a little bit here. See who's going to get something neat.
But yeah, I can say that we haven't, like I said, we haven't had each community's conversation, but I think there's a common desire to sort of explore the possibility of something that was actually in the 2016 plan update. So the plan gets updated every 10 years. Right. And there was something called Western Loop that was identified. It's identified in Clarkdale's comprehensive plan or general plan and Cottonwood's general plan. And it's a way to connect like Mingus Avenue or Willard Avenue to Ogden Ranch Road or to Fur Street, kind of a bypass of the intersection of 260 and Main. So that 260 and Main seems to be a really troublesome intersection, and almost every jurisdiction uses it.
It's where all the action is.
It's where it's all at. And tourism, too. Right. Visitors trying to get to Sedona, they're also encouraged to use 260 to get to West Sedona that way. So that seems to be a regional priority, and I think there's a desire to explore options of how to solve that problem.
When we talk about Verde Valley, didn't the Mingus extension come through this similar process 10, 15, 20 now years ago?
Yeah, I believe so.
I think it was.
Supervisor Chip Davis brought the VVTPO together. And that's a boon,
for folks, particularly locals who kind of know that and know where they're going. Sedona to Cottonwood, Clarkdale to Cottonwood, it cuts 20 minutes off my time. Mm-hmm. So little things like that over years and over numbers of people, they become very valuable, even these relatively, you would think, a minor project.
Well, and there is something new that's happening with this process, and that is a supplemental safety action plan. There's a new, I guess I would say, focus on safety. And I think that's exciting because it allows us to take the conversation beyond just infrastructure and allow the technical conversation from our first responders, how to make their lives easier. If you're trying to save lives ultimately, which is what a part of what we should be aiming to do. We have, I think, expanded the conversation beyond just roads and how to make them more user-friendly.
Right. Has the public, I'm kind of drifting around a little bit. I'm thinking all the transportation things, fore and aft. And some of those that came before, I know on the Highway 260 project, oh my gosh, the roundabouts, everybody cried and whined about it. Are we finally to the point where we're understanding and appreciating? I'm noticing people seem to finally be figuring out how to drive through them. Not everybody, but most people. Are we getting more comfortable with that? I know those CTI big trucks, that was something for them. Have we gotten to appreciate that indeed was an improvement that was needed?
Oh, that's a great question. I would say generally, yes.
I think so.
I think people were more scared of roundabouts before they went in for daily commuters.
On a big road, not a city street.
But I would say that I think the message from Cornville today is that you're seeing large freight or large trucks use Cornville Road more than 260 because they don't love the roundabouts.
I get it.
So, I mean, it's really hard to please everybody.
Right. There's been some widening on Cornville. We can all remember probably when it was just, oh boy. So these things happen, and they happen over a lot of time. And the stuff that's coming up on this plan, it's not going to get built next week or next year.
No, I mean, and
it's a while.
It's a 10-year plan, but earnestly, these projects might take 10, 20, 30 years. Yeah. And a part of, I think, is how those move forward. It depends on political will, because essentially, there's going to be a group of people who they don't want the new road you're proposing, or they don't want the bridge, or they don't want the lane extension, or whatever it is. Right. And so you really have to have that base of people demanding a solution to the problem. It can't just be government saying, we see a problem coming and we're going to get ahead of it.
Yeah.
And so it's hard to know when that is, when that political will is there, which is why we're really focusing on public outreach right now and trying to get these concepts really talked about early on. So we are planning 2 phases of public outreach in this process. And then once we come up with those priorities, we'll have another round of public input once we have some ideas to push forward. Okay. And that'll be early summer of 2026.
And there's a website dedicated to this project.
Yes. And of course, a survey. So VerdeValleyTransportationPlan.com. VerdiValleyTransportationPlan.com. Pretty simple. And they're also going to be asking some polling questions in the open houses.
Okay.
So if people don't love to go to a website, there'll still be opportunity for them to be polled on some questions.
Okay. What do you think? What's out there? What do you think is needed? How can you do your part to be a part of the big picture? The Verde Valley TransportationPlan.com, the website. You can learn more right there and attend these upcoming open houses and group gatherings. We'll take a short break. Our guest is the Yavapai County Supervisor, Nikki Check. It's countywide. We're back right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology, factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Thank you so very much for your generosity and kindness in helping others. I hope that you take advantage of the many Arizona state tax credits available when giving to qualified charities and schools. If you haven't taken advantage, I hope you'll ask your favorite charity if they qualify. You can go to Arizona Department of Revenue website, search for tax credits, and look at the list of qualifying charities. Then look at your latest Arizona income tax return and see how an Arizona tax credit can benefit many. This is Lewis saying thanks again.
As the days get shorter and the nights cooler, make sure your future is wrapped in the right protection. Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, is ready to help you simplify and protect what matters most: your home, your car, your life, and your future. Jonna offers competitive pricing with a relationship-first approach that puts you at the center of every decision. Call Jonna Randall Murdoch today at 928-649-8686, located on Villa Drive in Cottonwood. Farm Bureau Financial Services. It's your future. Let's protect it.
Welcome back to the program. It's Countywide. I'm Brad Miller, and Yavapai County Supervisor Nikki Check is here. And today we're talking about the Verde Valley Transportation Plan at a .com at the end of that, and you can go online and learn a lot more about this. This really is a process that's pretty much just getting rolling and will continue over the better part of the coming year. And a lot of decisions are likely to be made in the long term about transportation issues and needs across Yavapai County, particularly Verde Valley. That's what this one is centrally focused on. Talk to me a little bit about ADOT. Where do they land on this? How much is going to be, and I know there's a lot to come, so it's hard to say dollars and cents wise and whatnot. What role does ADOT play when we start talking about these regional and county roads?
It was a great question. So there's different jurisdictions that manage different roads. And of course, ADOT is managing, our highways. So Highway 89, Highway 260, they're highly engaged, and 179 as well as I-17. So anything having to do with those roadways, they really need to be engaged. And so far, they're really being good listeners right now. Mm-hmm. So they do sit into our, monthly meetings and hear the nitty gritty of what the community's desires are. So that's really wonderful. They also have a planning period. Every 5 years, they update their plan. And there is a little timing niche, I think, or glitch. I think they've just updated their 5-year plan in June.
Okay.
So that's a little bit unfortunate that they can't take in everything that we're laying down straight away. But in a sense, that's all right too, because these things really do take time. We try in the plan to identify near-term, mid-term, and long-term goals so that you have some ability to understand timing on things.
Sure. Old gray-haired people like me can remember, the 260 improvement project was enormous. The 89A between Sedona and Cottonwood project was enormous. the Highway 179 through the village of Oak Creek into Sedona was enormous. All of those state projects, mostly. So they've kind of done a lot, and that's been a generation now, probably 20, 25 years over that all of those projects kind of became true. So you wonder if ADOT kind of, hell, well, we're going to walk away. But what happens on county roads and jurisdictions, and anything that feeds into those state roads, they're going to have something to say about it.
Brad, that's true. And I think, there's some people don't know which roads are county roads, and they're distinct. We have Beaverhead Flat Road as county road, Cornville Road, and then some great roads on the other side of the hill like Pioneer Parkway. Right. One thing I want to point out, one reason why I'm so passionate about transportation as an issue broadly, is because I think it's one of the best ways to get tax dollars, really reinvested into communities. If you look at the reasons why government is formed in general, specifically like the Arizona State Territory, when we became a territory, we listed the reasons why, and I think it was roads, schools, and water infrastructure. So it's really a core component of how a government can serve its constituents.
Right.
District 3, our district, produces the most tax dollars of all the districts. And I see very clearly that we don't get those tax dollars reinvested in any equitable fashion.
Yeah.
Part of that's...
You ran on that.
I did.
That was a big deal.
And I'm not just running, I didn't run on that just as a blame game thing. I think a big part of what we have to do, the work that we have to do as a community is identify projects that we can get behind, which seems to be one of the most difficult things for District 3. So that's where I want to put my effort and really have as many conversations as we need to have, flesh out conflicts, really get into the weeds a little bit. And so everyone feels heard. If a project, moves forward, that people have had time to digest and understand the benefits and the impacts. Because if we don't get behind, projects, we're going to continue to build beautiful roads on the other side of the hill there.
Right. Well, and it's like they say, being a good dad, 90% is showing up. And this is sure a case of that. I got to wonder, because of some of the national temperatures on bigger issues that we're not going to discuss on this show, people are starting to come out a little bit more and starting to understand, I think, that attending public meetings and going out and being part of voices, whichever voice it is you want to express, can make a difference. And I'm hoping that some of that sentiment at a much more sedate temperament will become part of this and other things, meaning I just hope more people are like, well, we need to go. Because you can make a difference when your voice is heard, and being a part of this project sure can make that help, make that difference.
100%. And another really good thing to know is that the county, the Board of Supervisors in particular, is not a hyper-polarized entity. You're not going to be subjected yet.
It really is. I mean, sincerely, there's been that tradition. We'll cough up a hairball now and again, but that really is true. I've always been impressed by that. Yeah, that has largely been the case, really, for some time, and God willing, that'll continue. Let's take another break. We kind of need to. Our time getting so short already. When we come back, we'll kind of recap what's coming up specifically, so you can put it on your calendar and be a part of this program. VerdeValleyTransportationPlan.com. Our guest again, Supervisor Nikki Check. We'll be back to Countywide right after this.
Life changes, then it changes again. Predicting the unexpected in life is impossible. That's why it's called unexpected. So when it comes to financial goals, our philosophy is don't predict, prepare. Hi, I'm Edward Jones financial advisor Matthias Sandoval. A job loss, change in health, or a loss of a loved one can have a big impact on your family's financial security. Let's work together to help make sure you're equipped for life's unexpected events. Call our office to schedule a face-to-face appointment.
Edward Jones, making sense of investing. Member SIPC.
Verde Solaire, your hometown heating, air conditioning, and plumbing company in the Verde Valley, and your trusted North Central Arizona Goodman dealer. Goodman is a name you can trust with the revolutionary Comfort Bridge technology, factory installed into select Goodman gas furnaces and air handlers to ensure the entire system operates at peak energy efficient performance. Verde Solaire offers free in-home estimates, locally owned and operated since 1983. Visit them at verdesolaire.com. Better, cleaner, faster.
Thank you so very much for your generosity and kindness in helping others. I hope that you take advantage of the many Arizona state tax credits available when giving to qualified charities and schools. If you haven't taken advantage, I hope you'll ask your favorite charity if they qualify. You can go to Arizona Department of Revenue website, search for tax credits, and look at the list of qualifying charities. Then look at your latest Arizona income tax return and see how an Arizona tax credit can benefit many. This is Lewis saying thanks again.
As the days get shorter and the nights cooler, make sure your future is wrapped in the right protection. Jonna Randall Murdoch, your local Farm Bureau agent, is ready to help you simplify and protect what matters most: your home, your car, your life, and your future. Jonna offers competitive pricing with a relationship-first approach that puts you at the center of every decision. Call Jonna Randall Murdoch today at 928-649-8686, located on Villa Drive in Cottonwood. Farm Bureau Financial Services. It's your future. Let's protect it.
Welcome back to the program. Our final few minutes with Yavapai County Supervisor Nikki Check, and our focus on today's countywide, the Verde Valley Transportation Plan. And to put a .com on the end of that, and you can go to the website, and terrific information there. Get you started on being part of this process. Mass Trans, is that going to be bicycle, mass transportation? Is that going to be part of this?
Well, it's a part of the information that we're collecting. I think one of the polling questions is, how do you most often travel?
Okay.
Because there are a lot of cyclists, there are a lot of pedestrians, and there are actually a lot of people who use the transit system.
Yeah.
I think what's important to know is that after the transportation plan update, they're going to look at updating the transit plan.
Okay.
We've already been integrating some transit conversations into our current, time together, but that will be a new focus after this plan. What's also interesting to know is the Board of Supervisors just created their first strategic plan ever. It's very exciting. We've got 5 strategic goals. One is infrastructure, and included within that, improving the driving experience. So basically saying we're willing to invest in roads and the driving experience.